like we get passionate about this, that's when,
Yeah.
Right? Oh yeah. I can't ever the whole Mike LeBron. I won't ever.
It's not even in the mic. It's the rap and all this stuff.
What's the intensity behind it?
It's like you put too much energy into this and not realizing the value of an energy. Like.
And everything is energy.
Everything's energy.
Everything is
so
energy.
you're putting your value into something that has, and then you realize why you're stuck in that loop.
NPCs, non-player characters.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like in the Matrix, you have a protagonist and antagonist. You have people that are playing the game, and then you have people who are in the game. Who's the majority of characters?
Yeah.
The ones playing, the ones just in it. The ones in it. There is no such thing as a simulation that works where you have everyone wait, just like there's a capitalistic society where there's 100% adults, 1%.
Mm-hmm.
The 1% don't ever want it to be 100%.
Right.
Like,
Why would they?
Why would they? You would be wealthy if you shared.
Mm-hmm.
In societies historically that share never grew.
I think shared has its benefits and its consequences.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
No, whenever you're ready. You got something?
No, but if you can bring it through if you want. You want
I'll take some wine. Yeah, we got wine. I'll take some
wine.
Uh-oh.
All right, so we got that vodka, Black Mama vodka. It's pretty good. It's
What can we mix it with?
Bro.
Some straight?
Bro, it's sweet, bro.
I never had it.
Oh, try it. Try it before we do anything.
All right.
Anyway, let's start because I'm super excited right now. Well,
It's a non-verbal Indian.
Right here.
absolutely. No, seriously.
You should sign up to be on
No, I got you.
company. I didn't realize you were recording.
Yeah. He does that. So we can capture some good moments. But anyway, I want to, Keenan, welcome back, brother. Welcome back. Yes. I thought it was very interesting from the moment that we were talking. Every time we had a topic in mind that we wanted to discuss, we always veered left. We never stick to that one topic because something else comes up that's deeper than what it is that we initially had. So that's an indicator of minds coming together and sparking off, and then it goes in different directions. So we can start off with something, and then all of a sudden it planes to someplace else.
Absolutely.
And that's why I love having conversation with you because it's very stimulating.
Always.
And it really gets me going. But
Congratulations.
Yeah, shout out to Black Mama. Let's not forget the drink is what it's hitting, right?
That's it.
Yeah, that's
Black Mama vodka.
Black Mama vodka. But yeah, let's keep it going. So first of all, congratulations. Right, two things. You got married. Right?
Best decision of my life.
Best decision.
Yeah.
And you on a roll.
Yeah.
You Forbes magazine.
Yeah.
Raised $100 million.
Shout out to 100 million. First one.
You feeling good?
I'm feeling like I need 9 more of those hundreds.
So I agree with you. But how are you feeling right now? Do you feel like now the work begins, or do you feel like, you know, I can be comfortable a little bit?
Neither. Never complacent and never comfortable from the position of no longer have a desire, like we can just gonna make this work with 100. So no, don't feel like that. And also excited. It's part of the process to build a business that we know at Rezi. Shout out to Rezi, R-E-Z-I.
And
RentRezi.com.
right.
But to run our business at scale, which is creating available apartments that you can rent instantaneously through our technology, it requires a lot of capital, right? Because we are effectively guaranteeing rent to landlords, and then we turn around and we control the leasing process for tenants. To do that means I have to guarantee a lot of leases to a lot of landlords. At scale, being in every state or the top 50 markets or the top 100 countries, it's going to take a lot of capital. So success means I have billions of dollars outside or outstanding that I'm paying landlords to accrue properties that I control for 2 to 5 years, my leasing term. And knowing that the biggest goal is to be the largest, most dominant player, and we're the first mover, So there's no competitors yet. It's a lot of land. But growth is like the name of the game.
Right.
The 100 is just like a starting point. The 100 is like a piece. The real puzzle requires billions. And I'm okay with that. I don't think because it requires building billions that we're never satisfied. But because it requires billions, raising 100 million is just like, cool, that's part of the process. I needed it. Hopefully next one's 150. After that it's 250. I need a couple bill.
Right.
So it's to me it's just another step. Like Forbes, shout out to them, we love it. Rezi, as a co-founder, it's my biggest passion project outside of like loving my wife and raising my children or my child. And more has to come, so we need more. So
more is coming.
More's coming.
Yeah. Especially with the idea that you mentioned earlier. More is coming.
Shout out to that one.
Yeah.
Take off.
So no, but how does it feel to be married, bro? Like married.
Now that has a feeling.
Yeah.
The 100 billion or the 100 million. Look at me speaking to existence.
Yeah.
The 100 million is cool, part of the process. Married life, marrying my soulmate, my best friend, my son's mother. Shout out to Emily. That feels incredible. I think every day since we've been married, to answer your initial question around the Forbes 100 million, not a lot of feeling behind it and not a lot of complacency at all. The feelings I feel right now are 100% driven by my marriage. So getting married to Emily Christopher has been a life changer, even without the fact that we've been together for 8 going on 9 years. It is different. It's totally different. I still randomly will lay on the couch and look at her like, yo, you're my wife. Like, oh my God, we're married. It changed, like
the dynamic changed.
And to her, probably hasn't. I think.
No, I think for her too.
Sure, but I think hers is probably more mental. Mine's 100% emotional. Right. I think mentally.
So that's usually how reverse, right?
Usually reverse. I think mentally, my wife is 100% like, all right, cool. Keenan finally signed up. He's in the game. I've been there. He's finally matching me.
Right.
I think emotionally, I didn't mature enough to be ready to be a husband until much later than she was ready to be a wife.
Right.
So she's been here the whole time, and I've been doing this. And I'm finally doing this with her. So we're on the same line, same path, same speed. And I think, she's just been running faster. I'm finally running fast. I had a lot more training to go through, and the feeling of it it's a daily feeling. Like, you can wake up and lay next to your girlfriend and be like, what's up, babe? And you can wake up next to your wife and be like, what's up, babe? But I think when you get out that bed and you know what that lifestyle is, it is entirely different.
It's different. People may think of it as just a title change.
No, it's way more.
It's way more than that. And then you want this euphoria. It's like you feel this high that you want.
I'm on high. Shout out to all the newlyweds.
Yeah. The high is amazing. You calm down after a while, but the high is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, because you also and you get into the repetition, right? You got the lifestyle. And I think for us, and again, this speaks to Emily's position of her already being on that path.
Right.
In 2022, this year, we got married, we got engaged, planned a wedding, and got married.
And she's a partner.
In the family office?
Yeah.
She runs the family office.
Yeah,
She's CEO.
Yeah, there you go.
We started a family office. So trust fund for our son, my equity and shares moved around, right? Actual capital put together in the trust. So we started a family office with an attorney, the whole nine. She's CEO of that. We bought a house, closed on it, and moved in 2022. We then started some renovations on the house. So you got the house, the move, and a project. Definitely paused on future projects for now because that's a whole different emotional scale. Like moving was heavy enough on my heart.
And then dealing with contractors.
So we
no offense contractors.
No offense to contractors, we need you, but like we can't do it all together. So we finished the first project, which was phenomenal to get us really comfortable moving in. But literally got engaged, planned a wedding, found, bought, closed, and moved into a house. Created a trust and a family office. Which is where all of our assets are moved and all the business entities are controlled. Her organization, her job took like a different level, of scale. And then Rezi did too, the 100 mil, the big news, the growth. When I first met you last year, we were in 8 cities. We're in 20 cities now.
Wow.
And all that happened this calendar year. That's like having like 3 different babies in 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So we did pretty much everything we possibly could do except have another kid. And so it's a really heavy year. And I think that is more emotionally drawing than numbers. Because the 100 mil is just It's numbers on a piece of paper.
Right. Let's talk about the 100 mil.
Sure.
Being on a piece of paper. So a lot of people may not understand how VC works, right? Venture capital.
And remember, 100 mil is debt, so it's not VC equity. Hold it ball game.
Explain that to them.
Sure. So I think the biggest differential is people need to recognize there's two ways to finance or to capitalize a company. You can finance it with debt, which is a loan, right? Or there's an interest rate attached to it. Or you can finance it with cash equity, which means you trade ownership stake for cash, right? So those are the two main ways. That 100 million is effectively a credit facility for Rezi for us to fund the business model. Very different than if we raise like 50 million in equity that we had to like give up a piece of the company for.
And that's a huge difference.
Very big. One is literally interest rate where cash flow takes care of it. The other one is I've given a piece of my baby to someone and I can't get it back forever.
When you're going through that process, like, let's walk me through it.
Sure.
You know, you decided to say, listen, we need extra capital so that way we can actually. You don't want to be part of acquisition. You want to scale your business from the start.
Yeah.
You want to at least grow as much as you can without having to give off too much equity to different people, right? But how do you walk me through that process, like from start to finish? You decide to say, listen, I want to raise funds. What do you do from there?
I think our story, my answer is different than the general answer for how it works. My answer for us was we already had an established smaller facility that we just grew. So my 100 million is not fresh, right? By no means did my co-founders and I just one day pop up and said we wanted to do $1 and went out and found someone that gave us 100. Our partner was an existing partner that had already given us capital, that had already been paid back, we had already been a profitable borrower. And so they upsized it.
So you had leverage.
We had tons of leverage because we had performance.
Correct.
So my 100 is 7 years in the making. Like, let me not even act as if this is like an Instagram hype video. We started this company, we started this version of the business model in 2017, right? So, Jan 2017. So we're 6 years into this, going on year 7. So that's how we got the 100. We had 6 years of performance, existing capital partners, already paid back smaller size facilities that we had set up for ourselves. So the 100 is just an outcome based on historical performance. For anyone looking to start the process of going out to get capital, debt, or equity, the from scratch answer is you have to build a predictable revenue business model, right? To be super, super simple, you have to literally go out and create an enterprise that has revenue that's easily forecastable. I can put into an Excel spreadsheet. Month 1, we made $1,400. Month 2, that will grow to $1,600. And there's some exponent or multiple that money will continue to grow in Excel by every single month. Yes, expenses will grow too, but the profit margin will eventually widen, right? And so I think it's really business dependent. The deeper answer to your question, I gave you the function of how do you go out and go to raise money. You have a business model that makes money, it's repeatable, and it's forecastable. But the actual true answer of how do you go out and raise money is there's a big distinguishing business, or there's a lot to distinguish between businesses that can raise and can't. The businesses that can raise equity and debt often are predictable revenue businesses that have scale. A predictable revenue business also could be a corner store. It could be a bodega. It could be a car wash. It could be a restaurant. It could be brick and mortar. It could be a single location. That does not raise venture equity, right? An investor who puts equity cash out to take in return shares, they don't want small one-off businesses. But that's okay. Small businesses have an entire different food group of places to raise capital. The government, grants. The US is built on small business. So you actually never have to even talk about VC or venture capital equity if you run a small business. If you run a small business, you go right to the debt. You go right to the loans. You go right to the SBA, right? There's so much there. So I think that's where you start. If you're listening to this and you're trying to understand, or you're watching this because the title says venture capital, whatever you're going to title this conversation, how to raise VC equity, or just insights to VC, just know there's a small proportion of businesses that can raise VC equity. The majority of businesses can't. So just to get that easiest thought to understand through, to you is really important. And if you can't raise VC equity because you're a standalone business, you're brick and mortar, you don't plan to scale. You're from Queens. You want to be the biggest donut shop in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
You want 10 locations. Hard. You got to compete against Dunkin' Donuts. Hard. You got to compete against Starbucks and Krispy Kreme. So getting one off the ground is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you get to two, that'll be also a whole lot. By the time you get to double-digit amount, that's probably your second generation doing that. But you never plan to leave in Queens, and that's okay. You'll never raise VC equity. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
You go government, you go bank, you go SBA.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the kid in
What
Queens,
about if you go angel investors?
even them, angel investors want a piece of your revenue. Good question. I think if I'm from Queens and I come from a family that's got the biggest, Ford dealership in Queens,
Mm-hmm.
I have some money. I come from the money. If I'm an angel investor and I got friends who want to do brick and mortar businesses and I give them money for a donut shop or a car wash, I'm not taking necessarily shares in their business. I own a piece, and that piece is equivalent to how much of a percentage of their revenue I take. So even if I'm an angel investor in brick and mortar businesses that can't raise VC equity, because you are right, there are two types of angel investors.
Mm-hmm.
Angel investors that back startups, tech startups that raise VC equity, and angel investors that back brick and mortar businesses.
Mm-hmm.
The brick and mortar business angel only does it for cash flow. The angel that invests in tech companies does it for that tech company to have an eventual exit.
Yeah, all right.
Well, to have an exit.
Mm-hmm.
Their scale means one day they have a higher likelihood of someone buying them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a future cash play.
Expectation, right?
Right? Future expectation. And that's where I make my money if I back a tech company as an angel investor or VC. But if I'm backing a brick and mortar business, I'm doing that because month one they make revenue and I get a piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually they may or may not sell, but at the end of the day, I'm not doing it for the long game. I'm doing it because every single month that's going to pay me back some money.
Right. And with the other one, so I do want to I want to circle back real quick.
Sure.
Let's say now, I have a deck. Let's start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
I have a deck, and
You're a founder.
I'm a founder.
Okay.
Right? And I'm doing semi okay, but I'm looking to get some funding, and I know one of the criteria that I think is very valuable, in my opinion, but I want to hear your thoughts. Right?
Sure.
So there are two things you want to focus on, right? One is, let's see how can I scale this business, right?
Yep.
And the other thing is, who do I need on board to make sure this business is successful?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as somebody that's been through the whole VC journey, what is the crucial thing that you think that validates somebody to go ahead to go start asking for money? Is it that people look into your team, or is it that people look to see if you can be profitable? Or it could be a combination of both.
Most often, a little bit more context is needed. Is this your first time or your first time founder?
Let's start from scratch.
But
from start.
have you done it before? No.
No.
Your first time
No,
founder.
first time. Right.
Okay.
First time.
So if you're a first time founder, the answer is not profitable. It's can you secure your first customer?
Mm.
Just starts there. Profitability is a very far-fetched margin or concept for a first-time founder. It's going to take you a long time for you actually profitable. Most often, the goal is just to break even. So profitability is not really on the table, and team really is on the table. If you're a first-time founder, your biggest proof point of success, can I raise some equity capital from an investor, is can you find a customer, and can that customer pay you, and is that customer paying you repeatable?
Mm.
If so, then I'd say, how do you go from one customer to two, two to four, four to eight, eight to 16, 16, and so on, as a multiple. Excuse me. That level of growth as a first-time founder is the first line of defense for, am I able to raise equity? Because if I can find a customer, they pay me, and I can grow that customer, and I can double that customer size, then there's a there there.
Mm-hmm.
Most conversations won't start until you can prove there's a there there. Mm-hmm. Now, separately, if you're like a 3-4 time founder, you've done this. Like my next venture will be my fourth company. It's easier for me with a concept of my next
Because you have a
venture.
track record.
Because I have a track record. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't.
And you can leverage that track record to say, listen, every company that I've been a part of been profitable, and we were able to exit. With
Or had an exit. It doesn't have to be
Right,
profitable. Like, a lot of companies lose money until they grow huge and get bought.
Mhm.
That happens more often than not. Profitability is actually really not the margin of success, because profitability is far-fetched from a perspective of it being meaningful. You can go public losing money. You can go public just with scale. I think the market now has proven profitability is more important, which is probably why you're using that word more than the first time we met. Now, when the market's terrible, everyone's focused on profitability.
Absolutely.
Does it actually make money? Not fake money like, just deal size or vanity metrics. Does it actually have income, expense, and a remainder, right? And so I think from today's perspective, profitability is important, but only for late stage companies. I think if you're early stage, you have to prove you can be profitable, but that proof point usually is early set of customers that are paying.
So now you have a user case scenario, like you can prove that you can get customers. You can prove that you can turn one customer to two customers. What's the next step?
Gotcha. Good question. If you can prove that you can secure a customer and grow that customer base and grow that revenue, then your next step is team. Because usually product, no matter if you're a first-time founder or a four-time founder, product is iterative. You're always going to change. Rezi's product is on no BS, probably business model version 12, iteration 6. We're always tweaking the model. And it also really depends on your product. So we're being really general with my answers because it could be a healthcare product, it could be anything, right? But the tech founder, early stage, first time. Next is team. As a leader, your biggest line of demarcation of success is product and team, and then the market. Usually the best indicators of an early stage first time founder that can deal with the market that you can't, right? A market you can't control, a market is random sometimes, a market that has trends that can change, and a market is also really impacted by multiple exponents. Right now, the market's terrible because, not just because of the stock market, not just because VCs aren't investing, but because the Fed is raising rates, right? Like the pandemic changed how interest rates work. Interest rates drive everything.
Right.
Everybody that gives you money got money from a place that has a interest rate attached to it. They either borrowed it or they grew it. They either borrowed it or they earned it. But when people put money to work, it has to earn more than what the interest rate is, right? Because effectively, if I'm an investor, and I know we'll get to this later, so sorry to make a segue, but essentially when money's cheap, everyone's an investor. When money's expensive, no one's an investor. Right now, money's very expensive because the Fed has raised rates and continuously will raise rates. Also, money's expensive.
Well, they just said they weren't gonna raise it anymore.
No. He said, so you won't see 75 bips or greater. You will still see increases. The amount will shrink. So you'll see, right now 75. I think the next one's gonna be 50. It's December, so it's gonna happen again soon. And then 25. So it's gonna taper off. It's not gonna stop.
Right.
And so please know that even with that happening, the impact on the economy is a lagging indicator of rates. As rates rise and taper off, the economy is 1 year behind the impact. So if we're finally
come January, we'll be able to have an indication of how the market is doing. No.
When the Fed stops raising rates, period, or starts reducing them, which may not happen until the end of next year, you have another year of impact. So if 2023 impact won't be felt until 2024, by the time rates stop in 2024 being raised or start being reduced, that impact will still be felt in 2025. My forecast is you have 2 definitive years of recession coming, like guaranteed. We're already in a recession, I'm calling it, and it will get worse in the next 24 months. I don't think we come out of it until 2025 in terms of cheap money and things getting back normal. What that means is for the next 2 years, anyone who's an investor has a really expensive cost of capital, meaning everything they invest in has to be a profitable business or a scalable business, which is why you've been using those keywords in this whole conversation. So to bring it back to your answer, since the market is unpredictable or we know the market's gonna be bad for the next 2 years, to raise equity, you actually really, really do have to have a real business model that makes consistent monthly revenue, MRR, and it's forecastable on an annual basis, ARR. And your team, after the founder's consideration, is probably the most important thing next to your product, because when money's expensive and the market's bad, your product has to constantly iterate to serve the population that has the need, and that population that has the need is the US consumer. They aren't spending money, well, again, relative to your business model, but the US consumer is not spending a lot of money. Inflation is real. The dollar is weak and things are all expensive, more than anything else or any other time period. So you have to really constantly iterate your business model. The only way you do that is with the team. And that's just not engineers. That's your ops people. That's your accounting people, your finance people. That's your sales people. I think team and founder focus as well as product, but that team is more important than ever. Right now, if I want to be just like a tech founder, I can just get a team in the Philippines to be a call center, hop on Fiverr, get a couple of people to do the work, design some cool stuff on Canva, and then hire some engineers off TopTile or any other gig economy platform. And I can start an agency and start doing like social media agency work or dev agency work. I can middleman anything right now. But to be a tech company that's scalable, where I have a product that I'm selling into the market, the next 2 years will be harder than ever.
And that's good. That's good information. So let's you have the team established, right? And everybody has know their roles and responsibility. You know who is basically the point man of the operation. Do you
Or
work
woman.
or point woman? That's true. Let's not be biased.
Not biased.
Do you go after? Do you work on your thesis? Or what's the next thing you need to do?
I think the hardest part of your question is if or. Because if you're a great founder, you can probably get a great team. But a great team in this market is only going to take a bet on a great product. Right? Because if I'm a top tier engineer, I can make $200,000-300 grand at any big institutional tech company. If you're a first time founder and you want me to quit my job to jump on board and take the risk that has a high likelihood of failure because the market's bad, you better have a real good product, real early set of validation with revenue and a growing customer base. If you have those things, you can probably build a team. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the easiest thing for anyone to vet isn't the thesis, it's the team commitment.
I agree 100%.
Per our earlier conversation.
Yeah. It's. I think the team is the most critical, and when I receive decks from people and they don't really describe what the team members' experience or skill sets are, the first thing I say, well, how do I know if this thing is going to be any level of success if you can't tell me what skill set do each individual possess in order to make this whole vehicle something that's successful?
Or if they're even full-time. Let's be clear.
That's another notion.
The line of demarcation of a successful team isn't just their skill set, it's their commitment level. If you're not full-time, or if you see a deck and it's a first-time founder and everyone on the team is an advisor, red flag, throw the deck away. They're gonna beat and iterate on their thesis all they want. They can't test it. They don't have a team. And advisors aren't worth anything right now.
No, but what if you have track record?
Still. It's full-time team. Because at the end of the day, if I give you dollars, it's not going to be enough to hire a bunch of people full-time. So you still have to have that early commitment. To me, the conviction rate is worth more than ever before. If you see a deck from a first-time founder, again, let's stick with a kid from Queens, just because we're in Queens. Shout out to Queens. I'm from Jamaica. All three of my buddies went to Columbia. They still live in New York City. And we hired 2 engineers that went to Stanford, and one of them got a MBA or a doctoral, they did a PhD at MIT. Long story short, those 3 plus those 2 and me, all 6 of us live in the city, and all 6 of us are full-time. You wouldn't even bat an eye. You take that meeting, you take that bet, you call every friend you have who even had 1,000 to put in, and you would do everything you can to cobble together the minimal investment amount to back that company.
That's correct. 1,000%.
3 Columbia kids, 2 Stanford kids, and a PhD from MIT.
Right.
Doesn't matter that the likelihood of their success is just simply high because they have the horsepower of the team.
True. And they got the commitment.
And they're all full time. You got that much brain power, singularly focused on making one thing become accomplished.
Successful. Yeah. So do you think that, because back in the days, you could still be able to have like a 9 to 5 and then go home and then
work on the side.
Right. So you can commit another 8 hours to yourself, right? So you're saying that period may not be available, might not be around because you need full commitment in order to raise the kind of money that you raise?
A better question is, if you work as a side hustle 9 to 5 daytime job and you come home and work 5 to 9, are your customers up and buying product at 2 a.m.?
That's true. No, that's true. Yeah.
If your customer works 9 to 5 and you
let's say the roles are reversed. Let's say you work in the evenings and then you work in the morning.
I'd much rather take that bet. Or let's say differently. Let's say you work all the time, but it's all gig economy. You're an Uber Eats driver.
You have flexibility.
Your delivery. Sure. At the end of the day, you have to be available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to sell your product. You have to be available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to build your team. Mm-hmm. No one's doing interview calls at 2 a.m. unless they're out of the country.
No.
Right? 8 to 8 is probably the most important. And I honestly, I'll shrink it. I'll say 8 to 6. That 10-hour block is the most important business block that exists around the world. Mm-hmm. You need to be working and selling in that block. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
No, I totally agree. So now we work on the team. You got the team.
And again, wait. And I have to preface this. I'm giving you all these answers under the guise of this is a example of a first-time founder, New York City-based person or US-based person.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Okay.
It starts now.
It starts now. Okay, it starts now.
So you're starting from, it's like somebody that started from scratch. You started from scratch, and then, your first-time founder, this is the things that you need to know. What are the steps that's needed in order for you to go through this journey and understand the process, right?
Yeah.
So the process is that the way you laid it out, one of the crucial things is to make sure that you have some way of selling the product.
Yep.
Right? And then building customers, right? Yep. So now you got a customer base. Mm-hmm. The next thing you said is really to build your team and have the commitment.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So now what is the next phase?
Yep. Right. So start with the product, validate it, then get a team who's strong with skill sets that you don't have that complement you. The next thing is you have to do some semblance of go-to-market, right? So GTM. Mm-hmm. Let's assume that
assuming you got a product market fit.
No, so let's take a step back. Product market fit, that terminology is as misused as when the fellas get around and we say she's bad.
Break that down.
Sure. Let's all be honest. A woman that we consider bad, the next man may not say the same degree.
That's true.
Right? If I say, oh, that woman is a 10 out of 10, somebody else in the crew might be like, man, she a 7.
Right.
Because they have a
hard body 7.
A hard body 7, right? And shout out to the whole scale. Shout out to the 7. To the whole scale, right? I think the reason why I bring that up is because we laugh, but we laugh because we know that a man's opinion of a woman's physique and look is dependent upon that man's taste.
Fact.
Some brothers like them big and thick, some like them small and skinny, like the whole scale, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Some brothers like them different complexions, the whole nine. Mm-hmm. Product market fit is a very similar term in venture capital. In the VC startup world, product market fit can mean per your business model in the space you sell to. It could be a yes, clear. I sell to New York City based car dealerships that are independent. So not the Ford brand, or sorry, all car dealerships are independent. I sell to used car dealerships only. Used car dealerships that are only owned by immigrants in the top 10 markets. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. That's a very small.
That's a niche.
Total addressable market.
Right.
You mean non-US US residents that are not born here. Mm-hmm. So I sell to used car lots owned by Asians, Indians, Africans, and South Americans. Right. Like, let's just say the immigrant population. Cool. I can count that.
Right.
There's 15 major markets in America. Mm-hmm. Each major market has a total, car dealership population of X. The used car dealership population is Y, and the immigrant ownership population is Z.
Right.
I sell to Z. Great. That's total addressable market. Segmented addressable market. TAM, SAM, SUM. So segmented addressable and SUM, the actual one you're selling to. Mm-hmm. If someone said that that's my niche or my focus, my clear next question is, great, how exactly are you going to sell to that specific niche? Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because it's such a small niche, that founder probably could give me a pretty clear answer. He or she could say this,
Correct.
this, and it's not like, I don't even need to be in used car dealerships. If that's how it works and you did the research and you already tested it and you got that validation, sure, that's scalable. That's a version of go-to-market. If that go-to-market worked and someone actually sold to half of all U.S. immigrant-owned car dealerships that are used car dealerships, you can say that person has product market fit. They've sold to half of all U.S.-owned used car dealerships owned by immigrants.
Right.
As a VC, I could say, product market fit feels like 75%. Another VC could say, she or he has sold to 50% of all used car dealerships that are immigrant owned. Mm-hmm. That's product market fit to me.
Right.
So right then and there, the term is an agreed upon term, just like with the fellas, we can say bad, but the definition of accepting if it's actually true or false
is based on the person.
It's based on the person.
So it's an individual thing.
However,
right.
in the market of VCs and founders, we all agree product market fit ain't 2 people buying the product, or 10, or 1 city. So I think we use product market fit a whole lot. It's really hard to get. Product market fit takes years. Right. In my example, if I am the young woman from Queens that sells to immigrant used car dealership owners that are immigrant population, how long would it take me to get half of every single one in the top 15 cities in America? Take me years.
It take you some time.
Take me some time.
Yeah.
I got to hit every Caribbean, South American, Asian, Indian.
But even some cities have their local markets,
of course,
local areas.
And those guys aren't on Facebook all the time. No. They don't read the newspaper. No. Like, come on. So that's no different than the kid from the Bronx saying, like, look, at one point in time, the Bronx had the most auto body shops in all of New York City. The Bronx. Literally every other corner of the Bronx was Poppy's car, like, mechanic. And Queens was number 2. Like, who would have ever thought?
Who did the math?
Who did the math, right? And if that kid dominated the Bronx, that still would be product market fit because that's 1 borough in 5, right? So product market fit is really defined generally high level. Don't take this as gospel, but as you have hit a majority of the market to be a customer. Right. Majority is just as ambiguous as bad. Right. So long story short, it's not about product market fit. Long-winded answer. It's actually just about validating a buyer profile. Okay. Right. Yeah. So market validation is what all first-time founders should go for, not product market fit. Product market fit takes years. That's a majority ownership of it, or to be a dominant player. But market validation is I have multiple customers from multiple places paying me different prices, and I've retained them all.
Okay, so now that you broke that down, let's go back to the original question.
Cool.
All right. What's next?
Okay, and you should keep me on the path.
No, we're gonna keep you on path because I want to make sure that we try to outline as much steps as possible.
Yeah. All right, so recap was the founder. They have a thesis about a product or service. Right. And they got validation because they got a customer who they sold it to. So step 1, right?
Step 1 is out the way.
Step 1 is out the way. They figured it out of what they want to do and someone paid them for it. Step 2 is they then built a team. All right. A team that's preferably full-time. Step 3 is they then devised a clear go-to-market strategy and it's starting to work, right? Let's use Alameen as a prime example, right? Just so we can really make this tangible. So Alameen, when I met him 2 years ago, Pavement was an e-commerce platform and he literally had a warehouse in Queens. Right. Okay, so Alameen was selling products around the world. Right. Alameen then realized that to solve a problem at scale, to build a business that makes sense, I have to solve the actual delivery problem, not the product sale. Right. So Alameen shifts his entire business model and he starts Pavement, which is literally the last mile delivery logistics platform. Okay, so now Al has a thesis. To make package delivery more efficient, because the inefficiency is a massive cost. It costs billions of dollars a year, inefficient. Right. And inefficiency around package delivery, and the labor market sucks, and the way people track is terrible, and the tech delivery drivers have is trash. Al says the answer isn't even solving like the things I just mentioned. The answer is in the last 100 feet from our guy that gets off the truck to the package being dropped off at the door. Alameen says, I'm gonna build technology for that last 100 feet. Not a foreign concept, thesis shared by many in a lot of places. A lot of companies have raised money off that thesis. Al's specificity is, but the way you actually do it, shout out to Pavement, is you make drivers operate like Waze, where they actually talk and share notes and things get, and like the efficiency.
So you update it in real time.
Right, so the communication between the package delivery and driver and the location is shared amongst the masses. Cool. Makes perfect sense, Al. But to start, he can't just build tech. Because if he does, he can be the driver and delivery person himself. To validate it, he needs a bunch of trucks, a bunch of drivers, and contracts at all the different distribution warehouses to get the packages to start.
Communicating.
Right? So Alameen says, I understand that. I come from space. I'm ex-Amazon. I get it. He goes to Techstars. He gets some capital raised because he went to an accelerator. So all first-time founders recognize that you can go through an accelerator. You don't just have to talk to individual investors to get money. Mm-hmm. There are entities called accelerators that incubate you for 3 to 6 months and help you grow your business from scratch.
And sometimes they buy you too, or they invest into the company.
Well, they always, most of them, the ones that are worth it, guys, are the ones that give you capital at the end, right? So Alameen goes through an accelerator, and Alameen comes out the other side and says, I have clarity in my business model. I know how to scale it. I know how to go to market. So he starts getting contracts on distribution warehouses. Now he has to do the hard hustle, which is build a team. Mm-hmm. He has to go backwards. He has an independent pavement team for the company, but the technology has to be validated by users. His users have to be delivery people. So he has to hire delivery people. Mm-hmm. He does that. He gets contracts. He gets trucks. Then he actually has to do a bunch of deliveries and actually aggregate, clean, and synthesize the data. So that's part 4. So in our example, Alameen started with a thesis and a product and an early customer. He then got a team. He then got a really clear go-to-market strategy, but then he has to execute on the go-to-market strategy, meaning he actually has to show the business scales. So that's what he's doing right now. Mm-hmm. He started off in 1 market, now he's in 4, right? His goal, if you look at his deck on his map, he thinks and he believes, and I agree, he needs to be in a double-digit amount of cities to make this work. Mm-hmm. If and when he gets to that double-digit amount of cities and has a double-digit amount of drivers that are daily doing package delivery, he'll have enough data that he can clean up and then put it into a system that he can literally sell as a subscription service to other delivery platforms. Mm-hmm. So that's the next step. The next step is after go to market, which is step 4. Mm-hmm. Step 5 is you prove it.
Right.
Scale the business.
Yeah. Shout out to Al too in the business.
Big shout out to Alameen Pavement, PAYVMNT.
Yeah, definitely making some strong moves out in Atlanta. He was in Houston, Nashville, right?
And California's up next.
California, yeah. So
right.
Doing it.
Right.
Yeah, and then he made like 2 pivots, so that's what I think
big ones too.
Yeah, big ones. And I think that was like people are scared to make pivots.
Huge. But wait. So let's focus on that. Mm-hmm. Alameen, great example. He made 2 massive pivots, business-changing pivots. Mm-hmm. I met him in whole structure. Mm-hmm. Fired teams. Yeah. Shut everything down. Started from scratch. In the last 2 years, I've watched Alameen do it 3 times. Mm-hmm. To me, if you go back to step 1 on the founder, who has the original thesis and starts the first product that gets the first sale, that founder, all these other things don't matter. Still come back to that founder. Right. Period. Mm-hmm. And I think for investors who, and let's be honest, to the community watching this, investors watch. They don't jump in at the first one. First and foremost, they make decisions based on FOMO. Mm-hmm. You got to be a hot deal. You got to be popping. Mm-hmm. No different than any part of society. If I feel like I'm about to miss out, I'll invest. The only way I feel like I'm about to miss out is 2 ways. Someone in my circle I trust told me it's popping, or I've watched you long enough and I see that you're popping. Right. Alameen, who started off as a client of Stratum Growth, where I literally was advising and consulting for him, he took every single thing that I taught him, and he paid me for it. Mm-hmm. But he took every single thing I taught him, and he ran with it. And the biggest thing he ran with that I didn't necessarily teach him because he already had it was his fearless ability to change. Yeah. That's easier if you're one person. Mm-hmm. That's incredibly hard if you're a big co-founding team in a big industry, in a big business. Mm-hmm. My team equally is like that, which is part of our success. Our 100 million didn't come because we had one thing that worked and we kept doing the thing that worked. We got 100 million because we had one thing that worked and we had to beat and iterate on that concept for probably 6 years until we got it to the point now. Mm-hmm. It's going to change probably 3 more times. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be okay with that. And Alameen is somebody who has not just pivoted the business model. He's had to shut down teams, fire people, and start from scratch. The other thing I like about Al, his approach to things is like, all right, I tried it didn't work. Let me try something else, right? There's no hesitation with, some people say, all right, let me give it some time. You can't. Right? With him, there's none of that. And I had a friend like that to a T. He said, knowing when to exit a company is just as important as starting the company. Mm-hmm. So if something is not working, knowing that you have to exit, you can't push it anymore. Yeah. To our conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have been working in private on that idea 6 months. Literally got all the third parties together, yada yada. Totally shut it down in the last 48 hours. That conversation where that idea came out of was today's Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
today's Saturday.
Today's Saturday.
That was my Thursday conversation.
Mm-hmm.
48 hours, whole pivot change, and now 10 times greater than the idea ever could have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's inherently what it takes. VCs take bets on the jockey, not the horse, and that's said all the time, but it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
No matter of the 5 steps that this community is listening to in this video, it still starts with a founder.
Yeah.
If you are somebody that can't even simply prove, even if you're a first-time founder, you can prove in your story how many times you've dealt with adversity, got hit with something and changed. It's no different than being a founder of a tech company.
I like that. Let's leave it at that. My God. So we definitely get you back again to continue this conversation.
I feel like we just started
I
talking.
know, man. It's just like we have so much, but back to VC recap steps. So
Yeah.
let's recap.
Yeah. All right.
So
Let's
recap
do
the 5. It was 5 steps.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was 5 components. The conversation topic is if I'm a first-time founder, okay? And if I'm a first-time founder looking to go out into the market to raise, and I have to try to understand how investors work, you brought up the fact that there's kind of 3 tiers of investors. There's the angel, the independent person that you know, the homie, the mom and pop, someone that could put anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 up, maybe even $15,000, but $1,000 to $15,000. An angel investment round is you talking to 5 friends that could put up $1,000, 10 people that could put up $2,000, right? So you're going to walk away with somewhere between, $5,000 to $50,000. $5,000 to $50,000 is a range to start kind of anything, right? Let's just be candid. Anything under $5,000, you effectively can pay that out of your own pocket from your own income, right? So if you have that $5,000 to $50,000 range of an angel investor, you're talking to them, and you kind of are talking to them only from 2 different directions. I have a brick and mortar business that is something tangible that you can show up to that makes money, or I have this technology business that I'm going to effectively sell. It's a product or a service. Most often, the mom and pop friends in your circle that can put anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 up, where the dollar amount is $5,000 to $50,000, that isn't for tech. That's for brick and mortar. That's the kid that wants to start the tangible business, the donut shop, the car wash, the bodega.
Right.
If you're talking about over $50,000 from an angel investor, that's usually technology. That's someone that puts money into early stage digital services or technology, software. Speaking from that perspective, if I'm trying to get an angel investor and I'm a technology founder, my validation, number 1, is I have to be a full-time committed founder with a very clear thesis that's supported by having a customer that pays me. Net, right? The second tier of investor is not angel, so the individual that writes small checks. It's someone that's kind of mid-tier. They can write a check that's usually 6 figures up to $1 million, and they work professionally for a VC firm, but they focus on early stage. They do seed or pre-seed. The third tier of venture capital investor is the institutional investor. They do multi-million-dollar rounds. They invest in all stages, and they are there for the growth. They can write you a $1 million check. They can write you a $50 million check, right? Those are the 3 tiers. If you're a first-time founder, you're not talking to the top tier. You don't need $1 million. You're not even talking to the middle tier, the pre-seed seed investor. You don't need $500,000. You're talking to a group of angels who professionally earn money that they invest in early stage startups. And they do that validating if you're a full-time founder with a clear thesis, customer with revenue. 1 customer, $1 amount of revenue coming in, right? The second step was team. Are you able to secure a full-time team? It's not about the number. It's about, are they fully committed? And do they have the skill set that's
needed,
commensurate to the business? Is it growing the business? Is it complementary to you? Number 3 was, and I think this is number 3, do you actually have like a clear go-to-market strategy? I think that was number 3.
Number 3 was, yes, because you have the team. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it's number 3. So clear go-to-market means you can tell me the total addressable market, the segmentable addressable market, and the actual market, the niche you're focused on, right? TAM, SAM, SUM. Is that super crystal clear? And are you actually doing it, right? So we use the example of the young lady who's from Queens who wants to focus on selling a digital service to used car lots that are owned by immigrants in the top 15 cities. Okay? If she has gotten 10 used car lots across 3 cities. That's validation. She's validated her go-to-market strategy, but she had to start with it. So 3 was having a go-to-market strategy. 4 was actually starting it, I believe, I think.
Execution.
And yeah, executing on the go-to-market, meaning you're proving it. And 5 is product market fit.
Right.
Are you, well, the definition would be.
We broke down the definition, but 5 was more like it's
market validation.
Market validation.
5 is market validation.
And the fact that you said it still comes back to
the founder. Right. So 5 is market validation. Have you actually proven that this can grow per your plan? And the market is tough, working against you. Venture capitalists are not writing checks like they used to. Team members are not jumping full time like they used to. You got a lot of headwinds. So those 5 things, I think, simply to answer your question in this conversation of what it looks like to start, be successful at the start, you need those 5. You have to be fucking phenomenal and willing to pivot and shut things down and move and iterate. You really have to be able to find people like kind to you. You really have to be able to prove you can earn the money. And if you can earn money and earn customers, then your go-to-market strategy could make sense. But it's got to be super clear. Execute on go-to-market strategy, right? And then scale it up to get some real market validation.
My guy.
Thank you for the time.
No, man,
Happy to be here.
Oh, I have to, because there's more
This
we got
part
to talk
one.
about. This part 1.
We should call it part 1.
Yeah. So this is more of this is just strictly for the founders.
It's strictly for the founders, yeah. It's
Get
for
started
Yep.
and what you should look for.
Yep.
What are the 5 steps that are needed for you to get started? Remember, it starts now. So, follow us on. Salute, brother. Follow us. Appreciate you, brother. You can follow Keenan. He's on IG. You want to give your IG?
Yeah, my IG is real simple. It's Keenan D Williams, Keenan D Williams, my entire name on Instagram. And for Twitter, it's D Williams Keenan. So my middle initial, last name, first name. But I think the easiest way is don't hit me on social. Just hit me on an email. My email is keenan@rezi.co. REZI.co.
But definitely follow us on Instagram.
It starts now.
It starts now, absolutely. If you guys enjoy this content, please hit the like button. Please share it. There's a lot of information that Keenan shared with us today that I think is crucial for an early investor or early founder. And I think that's going to really get you started as far as like the scope of your project or the scope of your journey. And definitely subscribe to the channel. Definitely helps, so that way we can continue to have amazing guests like
subscribe and like and leave some fire in the comments.
Yeah.
All 3.
All 3, because we definitely want more people like Keenan. And Keenan, once again, man, congratulations on the marriage.
Thank you, man.
On the 100 million. I mean, 100 million. Yeah, 100 million.
Yeah, but the bees coming.
But the bees is coming.
Bees are coming. That's where we're going. We're going for the big.
I was gonna throw up the sign of bees, but we're not.